Hello and welcome to the Digital Escapement. I'm Andreas, a watchmaking student and horology enthusiast, and today we're going to take a look at two aviation watches that in almost every single way, except being in the same price bracket and having the function to tell time, are very, very different. With these two offerings, one hailing from Germany, the other from Japan, we will be exploring what makes them unique and which of the two styles might be right for you. You're watching the Digital Escapement. Let's begin with the more colorful, fun and legible one of the two. I'm of course talking about the Laco Aachen Blaue Stunde, an exquisite offering from one of Germany's original 5 watch suppliers during the Second World War, Söhne, IWC, Stova, Wempe and of course Laco made highly legible and large navigation watches for pilots of the Luftwaffe to accurately and quickly determine the time in the cockpit. Although this model today is a bit more upbeat and livelier than its spiritual predecessor. The main feature of the watch is its large dial. The sunburst finish and the light gradient transform a generic navigation watch into a lively sports watch. And the dial really is the talking point here. As with the originals, the user can easily and instantly tell the time, although the dial itself warrants a second glance in many circumstances. The large Arabic numerals and thick indices are filled with Superluminova C3 and make for one of the best watches to read in the dark. The dial layout itself is known as a Type B dial and is easily identifiable by the large minute track outboard of the smaller 12-hour indices at center. Military requirements saw fit a triangle as a 12 o'clock marker, making it distinguishable from the numerals at a glance more easily. Quickly glossing over the watch's dimensions, it measures a very modern and full-size 42mm in entirely brushed stainless steel, 11.75mm in thickness, 50mm from lug to lug, and 20mm spacing in between the lugs, making this a comfortable yet large watch to wear on my 17cm wrist. Flat sapphire crystals front and back grace the dial and movement, as a water resistance of 50 meters and a push-pull crown will keep you high and dry instead of taking to the seas. The movement powering the Aachen is the widely used Myoda 821A, 21,600 vibrations per hour, a solid 42-hour power reserve, and 21 joules, as well as parashock shock protection and a unidirectional winding mass provide acceptable accuracy at plus 6 seconds per day in my case. The only gripe with these movements I have is that it looks rather tiny compared to the case. Finishing is as expected industrial and coarse, but being able to see it is an upside for many collectors. Let's switch sides and go from Germany to Japan, from mechanical to solar power quartz, from legible to, well, a bit more crowded. The Citizen Promaster Nighthawk is everything you could ever need in an aviator's watch. Chock-a-block full of features, it still manages to convey a subtle and understated feel on the wrist thanks to the partly polished bracelet and slender profile. Some might find the deep black dial too complicated or too cramped, but I find it to be an immaculate use of space to convey an extensive amount of information in a confined area. Bright white sword-style hands circle the dial above a second time zone indicator. The pointer coaxial with the main handset carries a white and red plane pointing to their respectively painted track. Neatly tucked in the 3 o'clock position is the quickset date, which seats noticeably deeper than the upper dial as it lies under the EcoDrive module. Applied stick indices with lume form the boundary to the outer edge of the dial, where a unidirectional slide rule bezel as well as an array of necessary markings are positioned. Quick division, multiplication and unit conversions are just some of its possible uses. As crowded as the dial may be, the case lines are clean and well defined. Brushing on the mid-case, bezel and both crown guards are in great contrast to small specks of high polish on the brawny and canted lug design. A visual standout for sure is the dual crown setup. The traditional one at 3 o'clock controlling time setting, a quick set date as well as the second time zone display. The other one at 8 o'clock giving you control over the peripheral slide rule bezel. It is also worth mentioning that the time setting crown being a screw down enables this watch to have a water resistance of 200 meters, which is a scarce sight among aviation pieces. The Nighthawk measures in at 42mm in diameter, 12.5mm in thickness, and a very compact 46.3mm from lug to lug, making this one of the most comfortable full-size watches for smaller wrists. One thing to note is that 22mm lugs are fairly close into the body. While this makes the watch fit on the wrist well, it can handle thick or heavy NATO straps. The bracelet is a standout feature of this watch. Its 3-link design feels robust and secure, whilst the center link, featuring polish on its lower third, adds a light sparkle to the otherwise rather subdued case design language. Plenty of removable links held together by pins converge in a hefty clasp, complete with a twin-trigger actuated locking system. In addition, there's a clamshell for added security. Caliber B877 powers all functions without breaking a sweat, given the fact it is sufficiently charged. A full charge, about 11 hours in direct sunlight, warrants a comfortable power reserve of 6 months. Even occasional wear should keep the eco-drive system happy. In the event of low energy, the watch turns to a power saving mode, signaling the owner its need for a charge. Now that we have studied the details, let's round up this head-to-head with a few key takeaways. The Laco, while appealing to the horology enthusiast with its mechanical movement, is also livelier and more vibrant with good low light capabilities. Rich with history, the ultra-legible dial will have you do a double take after checking the time. It is, however, nor a small, neither overly water-resistant watch, and without paying extra, the lack of an anti-reflective coating can take away from the dial's purity. The Japanese entry stunts with many complications, high water resistance, a low maintenance solar powered movement, and a best-in-class bracelet, all while being less expensive than the Laco. It is far from perfect though, as a more scratch-prone mineral crystal takes away from the go anywhere, do anything proposal of the watch. One also has to consider that if the citizen were to join a larger watch collection, a top-up on the battery on the windowsill is unavoidable, as semi-constant wear is required to keep the watch running. Additionally, a course just doesn't have the same elegance as a mechanical movement. Scarcely can a robotic twitch match smooth continuous sweeping motion, in my opinion. So which one do you prefer? Do you already have one of the watches in your collection, or would you go with something completely different? Please, let me know down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, a thumbs up would be greatly appreciated. Also consider subscribing to the channel to not miss out on any upcoming content. Thank you for watching the Digital Escapement.